What's going on, guys, and welcome to another top 10, another NBA, my top 10 all-time NBA shooting guards. Now, I love the point guard position and I also love the shooting guard position. With the point guard, you get more of the assists and they can chip in with points, whereas the shooting guard is usually your best shooter on the team. So I personally would edge my favourite position to the shooting guard. I do like the point guards, as I said, but if you're the best shooter on the team, you're the weapon, basically. I know assists count as weapons, and as a shooter myself as well, like when I play basketball, I feel like that's my best asset. So I feel like I relate to this position the most, and you don't necessarily have to be the tallest player on the team either. If you've got the skill, like, you can do it. So shooting guard is definitely my favourite position, closely followed by a point guard. So let's get into my all-time top 10 NBA shooting guards. In at number 10, one that was on my 3-point list before, Reggie Miller. Very unfortunate not to win a championship in his time with the Pacers. He come very close, but didn't quite get over the line, but definitely had the ability to win a championship. Just didn't have the best of luck against matchups that he come up against, but got to the finals and narrowly missed out. So Reggie Miller, number 10. Number 9, more of an old school one, even older than Miller. And I didn't really watch a ton of him like growing up, but I've watched quite a bit of him since, and I really thought he was a great player. Very explosive, aerially as well with dunks, but quick and quite well-rounded, and that's Clyde Drexler. The way he used to glide through the air for dunks, as I said, he was explosive, he was quick, he could shoot, and I remember him a little bit more for his dunking and his aerial ability and his jumping ability, but he was a great player. Played for the Trailblazers, obviously, and yeah, like, I remember him at the Trailblazers the most, and I think he had a fantastic career. And I had to have him on the list because he's definitely one that, even though I didn't grow up watching him, when I look back on clips of him, I was like, bloody hell, he was good. So I had to include him in this list. Clyde Drexler, number 9. In at number 8, Vince Carter. Another one that's probably more known for his dunking ability, probably the greatest dunker ever. But I think his all-round game was very underrated. He could, on any night, give huge numbers up and get his fair share of buckets. And he was just a good team player. He didn't mind the spotlight on him. He could handle the pressure. And another one that probably should have won a championship at some point. But I know he had quite a bit of an up and down career in terms of getting on with head coaches and things like that. But I think only quite recently retired as well. So I think he's one of the all-time greats just in the period of basketball, let alone just positions. More known for his dunking ability and the all-star dunk contest and things like that. But I think he was a very underrated all-round player and one that could offer his team a lot, whoever he was with, in terms of points. And on any given night could really put up high numbers. So a great shooting guard, Vince Carter, number 8. Number 7, another one that I didn't really grow up watching, but another one that when I look back on it now, and I've watched games since, like from early 90s, he's one that stood out to me, even on teams where they might be considered underdogs in games. I felt like he was always their best player, and that was Latrell Sprewell. Another one that was a little bit of a hothead and had his run-ins with head coaches and things, and a bit of a tough character, I believe, in terms of just if he don't like you, he don't like you. But on the court, as I said, I think he was really talented, very underrated in my opinion, and another one that probably should have won something in his time, because I think he had the talent, he had the ability, just didn't really quite get to that final peak in the mountain. But one that, as I said, I really enjoy watching when I look at clips and stuff. So Latrell Sprewell, number 7. Number 6, one of the bad boy Pistons, Joe Dumars. Another one that I didn't grow up watching because he was more in the 80s and early 90s. But since I've been doing my research and looking back, he was one other than Isaiah Thomas, obviously, that would chip in with points. If Isaiah weren't on it certain nights, Dumars would chip in with the points and be the leading scorer for the team. Tough character as well, could do his defensive duties as well, but offered them a lot of points at times when Isaiah Thomas weren't chipping in or other players weren't. He would be like that number 2 guy. So Joe Dumars, another one that I've been impressed with, number 6. Number 5, Ray Allen. just calmness personified. Put him in a spot on the court and you know he's going to hit his shot, especially from the 3-point line. But a great team player. Obviously won a championship with the Celtics. Was great with the Heat as well. Had a really long career, very successful career. For me, one of the all-time best 3-point shooters, as I said. If you see how low down I have him in my list on that, or high up, however you look at it. But he has to make this list. Whatever team he was on, he would offer up points. And even if he didn't score tons of points per game, he would be clutch in the moments that you need a player to step up. He wouldn't mind having the ball and having that final shot to win the game, buzzer beaters and things like that. So, Ray Allen, number 5. Number 4, one that had handles, brought that Euro step, and could chip in with his fair amount of points as well. But a great team player, one that was fundamentally really good, and that is Manu Ginobili. Obviously, with that Parker, Duncan, Spurs trio that they had, very successful under Popovich for all them years, and a great player for Argentina on the international scene as well. So one that didn't slip my mind. He's one of the ones that I watched a lot when I was growing up and stood out. And he was such a threat from the line, from the free throw line, from the 3-point line, and from like mid range as well. Could get to the basket. He was so well rounded. And one that I think in terms of a skill set, having the handles, the fundamentals, one of the best ever. Manu Ginobili, number 4. Number 3, explosiveness at his peak. One of the best ever, I think, in the history of basketball, let alone positions. Dwayne Wade. For the Heat, obviously, was a little bit of that mentor figure for LeBron when he went there. Heavily involved in the game still, even after retirement. And what a player he was. Vital for the international scene as well for USA, for their Olympic runs as well. And stepped up hugely when they won their gold medal. And one for the Heat that was for their so many years and getting them to finals and winning. And then even going to the Bulls and Cavaliers and stuff. Like, he had a very nice career. Successful career, and explosiveness. Other than like Derrick Rose off the top of my head, I don't think there's many like him. On his night, he could really rack up high points, and even nights where he wouldn't rack up high points, he would make his teammates better and get the assists and dish out assists and help his team win. A leader, and another one that wouldn't shy away when the heat is on. Excuse the pun, but he wouldn't shy away from the spotlight. When the pressure's on, give him the ball and watch what he can do. Dwayne Wade, number 3. Number 2, rest in peace, the late, great Kobe Bryant. The closest I think we've ever got to Jordan in terms of the mindset, the dog, the defensive duties, the work rate, the work he put on behind the scenes and put in behind the scenes that other players aren't willing to do. I think he's the closest we ever had to Jordan. And obviously the way he went out is still a shock to people. He was going on to do great things after retirement, and he's a huge loss to the game of basketball, and a person obviously, but what he was doing after he'd retired as well were going to be huge and evolve the game even more than it is at the moment, I think. So yeah, huge loss. I miss him. When his death hit, like when the news hit, a lot of celebrities' deaths and things don't hit me and don't affect me like that. But his was different because I grew up watching him a lot, seeing posters of him around my brother's bedroom growing up, and then watching him as I got old enough. And he was one of my favourites. Great human being, put that work in off the court. Everyone that talks about him now speaks about his work rate and just his obsessiveness with the game of basketball and trying to be the best ever and the greatest. And I think he was one of them. Like, he really was. And he's a huge loss to the game. Obviously, he won championships with Shaq. Then when Shaq went, he made it his mission to win titles without Shaq because people said he couldn't do it. And he went on to do it several times. Made his teammates better. Led by example. Made them feel guilty if he didn't match his standards. And he challenged them and put them to heights that probably the talent level some of them had probably shouldn't have reached. But they reached it because of his standards and his demands. And he's a huge loss. I respect him hugely. I miss him. And he's a great. Kobe Bryant, number 2. In at number 1, couldn't be anyone else but Michael Jordan. what he did in terms of setbacks early in his career against the Pistons, bouncing back and beating them, and then going on a run with the Bulls. All finals he was in, he's won. Never lost a finals. Unbelievable player. Glided through the air. Hang time, I've never seen anything like it. Especially in his time, he was doing things that people had never seen before. The mindset, that dog, the obsessiveness, the competitiveness. He'd make up stories to get himself fired up for games because he thought it was too easy, but he needed to get to that next level to like win them titles and things. He'd make things up that would work in terms of players saying things about his mum that they didn't actually say, but he would trick himself into thinking that they did to make him reach new heights. When he probably could have still won them titles without reaching them heights, in my opinion, but he just strives for greatness, and I don't think we've seen anyone like him. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of him off the court and stuff, but in terms of on the court and sheer ability, mindset, he's 100% for finals. As I said, never lost a finals. And the demands, like I said with Kobe, the demands he put on his teammates to make them better and get them to greatness, unquestionable, unmatched. People compare LeBron to him. No, it's disrespectful for you to do that, in my opinion. I don't think anyone has come close to doing what Jordan did. And I think it's going to be hard for anyone to ever do that. I think Curry's creating his different path in terms of changing the game. But he's not Jordan. And I don't think we ever will have a Jordan again. So for me, look, people say he wouldn't have done it with his teammates like Pippen, which, look, there's an argument now. I think Pippen's very underrated, but I still think Jordan's Jordan. Even Pippen didn't have the mindset Jordan had. So for me, unmatched, Michael Jordan, #1. That is it, my all-time top 10 shooting guards, guys. I hope you enjoyed the list. Let me know yours in the comments, who your favourite player was growing up as well. Before I go, 2,000 subscribers by the 1st of December is the target. What are you waiting for? Yeah, I got to be honest, guys, I'm disappointed. Thought we'd be there by now, and we're not even close to it yet. So I got to admit, I'm disappointed because I thought you guys wouldn't let me down yet. Obviously, the date is still to come, and the deadline is still there to hit. But we need to accelerate these numbers, guys. It's coming up close. If we don't hit it by December, we failed. I'm going to never give up, obviously. I will hit that 2,000 mark at some point, but it's not for the want of me not showing up and doing my thing. But you got to meet me halfway as well to join me on this road to 2,000 and help me reach these goals. You're a part of the community. It's our community. So you got to come and support, and you got to want to be part of the community to reach that in time. Come and join me. Make sure the notifications are on. You're subscribed, giving a thumbs up on the video to help the channel grow and give you content going forward as well. And I'll see you guys soon.